Well, folks, I sure am glad y'all are around to hear the history of the Friends of the Locust Fork River. It's pretty ironic because as of this year, our all-volunteer organization has been around for 30 years. And I'm here to tell you, and these people will tell you, and a lot of these people will tell you, it is unheard of for a grassroots organization to be alive 30 years later. Once the threat or whatever the reasoning for forming goes away, they usually go away, but not the Friends of the Locust Fork River, because we're on a mission. This is Susie Mixon Wilkerson, and this is Betty Howell Millett. Betty was the first president of the Friends of the Locust Fork River. Susie was the first executive director of the Friends of the Locust Fork River. So they really have a lot to add to this story, and they just had to be up here on stage with me.
I'm Susie Mixon Wilkerson, and my husband is the one that got everybody together to form Friends of the Locust Fork River, and he died a little over 2 years ago. But we were together 35 years. But we got all of us together. We decided, they ain't damming up that river because the river belongs to everybody.
Anyway, in 1991, the Birmingham Water Works decided they wanted to dam the Locust Fork River, which the general manager told us at one time is the Locust Fork River is a waterman's dream. Yeah. The geographical formation of the river is exactly what a reservoir needs to have. And Betty and I were a bit oblivious to what had happened, but the story was broken by John Archibald and Bob Blaylock of the Birmingham News. Well, Betty's sister knew Ken, her husband. We didn't know him from Adams Southscat or anybody else. We'd only lived in the neighborhood for 3 years. Well, anyway, Ken calls Betty and introduces himself and says, "Well, have you read the Sunday paper?" And she went, "Well, no." And she said, he said, "Well, they're trying to dam the river." And I was wondering what you thought about that. And Betty, I don't know exactly what her reply was, but in essence it was, you're not going to dam one of the last free-flowing rivers. And they didn't.
Well, Ken called Richard and told him about the Cahaba River Society meeting, and we needed to go there, and because of what was happening with the river, and we needed to sort of learn what to do and how to fight if we're going to organize, and they were an excellent example of what to do. And Don Elder was still there, and
he played in the symphony, but he was big into the Cahaba River Society.
He was the executive director, I think. And so he gave their annual report, and it was just amazing what they had accomplished. And so that was on a Saturday, and I think it was Ken and Sam and you and me were there. And then the next day we all met at our house, and Betty was there then. Susie, were you there? And so we all talked about it, and Betty, she kind of warned us too about some of the pitfalls.
She worked for a nonprofit at that time.
And but it was like, the river deserved to be saved. We had to at least make sure they took every other alternative measure before damming the river.
I had in the past worked for the Alabama Symphony Orchestra, and Don Elder, who was the executive director of Cahaba River Society, had been the second trumpet, and that's how I knew him. And so we got together, and he just lit a fire under us. I mean, we were like, we don't know what to do. Yeah, we want to know what's going on.
But Cahaba River Society had just started. They were about 3 3 years old at that point, but they had an incredible executive director, Don Elder. And Don Elder said, I'll help you. And he helped us get organized. He helped us with the strategy, and he was just brilliant at figuring this stuff up. Well, the Birmingham Canoe Club, they didn't want it dammed because we told them, well, golly, it's going to go all the way up to the whitewater, and you're not going to have any more whitewater. That may or may have not been true, but that's exactly what we told him. But he didn't know. Nobody knew for sure. So their president was Jay Clark, who happened to be an attorney, a lawyer. He said, well, you're not going to be able to fight this without any money. I'll help you get a 501c3 designation. And that meant that we could go out and solicit funds. So he went through all the paperwork gratis and got that for us. So now we're rocking and rolling. But I can't put any more emphasis than I can put on the fact that the Cahaba River Society and Don Elder couldn't have done it. Nope. I'm going to call a meeting, and sure enough he did. He got together Richard and Melanie Johns, who were unable to attend, these people here, and David Murphy, who's no longer in Hayden. So there was about 5 or half a dozen of us there. We meet down in his living room and going, what in the world is going on? What are we going to do about this? And we said, well, we need to keep it free-flowing, and we're thinking, well, how in the world are we going to keep a multi-million-dollar organization like the Birmingham Waterworks Board from coming up here and damming the river? Well, I don't know, but we're going to have to figure it out. We're going to have to do something. Let's start turning over rocks.
Birmingham Waterworks Board, tell us what you're doing. Tell us what's going on. Why are you buying this land secretly? What are your plans?
Tell us why do you really need to do it? Tell us why. And they couldn't tell us why.
Never could.
Never did. I mean, we got the numbers, and they had lots of accountants and engineers, but they still couldn't tell us, well, it's just because we're going to run out of water. Well, that's not the case. If you conserve and properly use the water we have an abundance of water here, and it just has to be managed properly. And
it was 6 months later when they finally came up here and had a public meeting. Was that at the Hayden Elementary School? And there were just, Susie reminded me of this a little while ago, there were tons of police cars outside. Like we were going to have a riot or something, What? We're just a bunch of old renegade people, So we just wanted to know what was going on. And the longer they went without telling us, the more we learned about the problems that would happen to the river and the preciousness of the river and the habitat and what it provided that would be lost. And by the time they had their first meeting, we were like, yeah, now that ain't going to happen. But we would sit in this living room and we would have these mimeographed newsletters, and we're doing stamps and labels and, sometimes we would mail, and sometimes we just stuff them in people's mailboxes, and act like we didn't know we weren't supposed to do that because we couldn't afford the postage. So then we had a public meeting after that, and it was I think it was at the elementary school, and we had a huge turnout of people. I mean, probably for Blount County, this area, 50 people came. And, we just said, this is what is going on. This is what we know so far. Fish and Wildlife, the biologists from the state, came in and told us, about the flattened musk turtle. We didn't know, what's that? We had no idea. So we just had so much support. Doug Phillips came, and he was, if you don't know, he was a biologist and worked for the University of Alabama and had his own TV show. And
Discovering Alabama.
Yeah, so it was just the outpouring of support. And then people started to give us money. It was like, whoa.
Her husband used to own a printing company, and we were trying, he made some bumper stickers for us, and Jane came up with this. She says, frankly, Horace, you don't need a dam. So we
Horace Parker was the chairman of the board.
Yeah.
Horace, you don't need a dam on the back of people's cars. We ran into one of the Birmingham Waterworks attorney.
Oh,
Remember
yeah.
that?
Yeah.
He came up, or we walked up to him, or he walked up to, we knew who he
Charlie
was.
Waldrop.
And he goes, no, it wasn't. It
That
was
wasn't.
the other guy. And he goes, that bumper sticker is great. This is one of the attorneys.
Yeah.
It was great. We went, yeah, well, you know, you don't need a dam. Now, the hard part is, how do you keep a grassroots organization going without your threat? You know, so that's when we reached out and started Kids Day on the River and all these other things, just trying to get the community to get involved. And of course, like you would think, some people went, well, hell yeah, I'm gonna have a reservoir, I'm gonna put my boat on it, I'm gonna go fishing, and da-da-da-da-da. And then you had these other people, which are kind of few and far between, I think, that were against it. And then you had these other people, well, I don't know.
we got all the people involved, and we had started having float trips. Monthly float trips, wasn't it?
Pretty much, okay.
Pretty much, and then we had river cleanups once a year. That first river cleanup, that river, that Section 6 was nasty. People had thrown all kinds of tires and everything like that. And every time we did a float trip or a river cleanup, Richard and Melanie were at the takeout. They always fed us when we got through.
Oh, yeah.
But the river cleanup, they had a dump truck. And that dump truck was overflowing with trash and tires and everything. And we were trying to figure out how to get more money. And all of a sudden, somebody said, hey, we can do a river festival on the river.
Oh, no.
So, in '94, we got together. Sam was always in charge of the food.
No.
Melanie was always in charge of getting the free, not Melanie, but Betty was always in charge of getting the print stuff done. She knew somebody that could donate it to us. Ken was in charge of, he built the information booth, and he's in charge of getting all that information there. And oh, he loved that. But it turned out to be a bluegrass festival, and then the first time I think it was in May, so we had the Maypole dance, and we made money that year, and then every year after that it got more popular and more popular.
Bigger.
And bigger.
Did we do it 3 or 4 years?
No, we did it 7 years.
Yeah, we did.
7
Oh,
years.
my God.
Mm-hmm.
The last year was when we had Norman Blake.
Mm-hmm.
Norman Blake. We had John Hartford. We
Yeah.
had big names that wanted to help us out.
Yeah. Front.
Fork River Festival.
And you know who did that?
Oh, wow.
Bob.
Don Elder did that.
Oh, did he?
Ken's friend Don Elder.
Yeah. But anyway, they decided in 1909, and in 2009 they were going to sell it. So they put it, and it was 30-something thousand acres. Is that something big? And they were putting it on the auction block, and it ended up taking bids, and ended up coming down to two people, a guy from Tuscaloosa, and I can't remember who the other guy, may have been a Mobile Hill,
Yeah, something like
Mobile Hill, which is a colorful person in our neighborhood. Got together with them, and they started bidding, and finally it went to the guy in Tuscaloosa. And I was there when they finally led it to this guy. And the Birmingham Waterworks general manager made a speech, and he made a comment about the handful of renegades. In Blount County, they could have had, the reservoir could have done a whole lot to the community, et cetera, but this handful of renegades ruined it. So anyway, that's what happened. In 2009, it went for sale. And the guy bought it for $5 million in Tuscaloosa, and And he has not built anything on it. That was one of the promises. He was going to leave a 50 to 100-foot buffer along the river, and for all as I know, he has done that. And so he's doing what he's supposed to be doing. And Susie lives on top of the mountain overlooking his properties, and she confirmed.
He's built a mansion over there.
A Mac mansion, but he hasn't developed it or done any logging, harvesting, or any of that stuff. So now, getting back to the point that I made when you have a grassroots organization with a fight or a cause, and then during this period of time, we're just trying to keep the organization alive, knowing that that serpent's going to raise its head again. Now we know it's not. They're liquidating. It's gone. And then we're thinking, okay, what do we do now? So we look at our mission statement and we kind of say, okay, this is what we need to do. We need to be stewards of the river. And that's what we've been.